this the same projector? How come the color looks good now and it didn't look good the other day? You have any idea? No. Color's good. I mean, it's a close match to what's on my screen. What's that? I don't think it'd be there. You're attached. I know. Where's your mridanga playing son? You have kartals here, right? But he plays mridanga too, no? Little bit?
He's expert in kartal.
Okay, give me the mridanga. Give me the mridanga. I'll play mridanga. And he can take the kartals. Mridanga? Here we go. Now we got the real deal. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopijana Balabha Dhari Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dhari Jasadanandana Brajajanandana Jana Brajajanandana Jasadanandana Brajajanandana Nandana Brajajanandana Yamuna Tiravana Kadi Jamana Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopijana Balabha Girivara Dhari Gopina Balabha Girivara Dhari Balabha Girivara Dhari Jasadanandana Brajajanandana Jasadanandana Brajajanandana
Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Haji Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Haji Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivijagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. Now you teenagers, if you want to take off, go ahead and take off. I know you don't want to be here, so you don't have to be here. You can stay if you want to stay, but you don't have to stay. When you get restless, you know what to do. Your daughter has a major aversion to masks. She just doesn't like masks. I remember the last time we were here, she was like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. The maskless wonder. It'll be over after some time. You don't have to even have somebody ask you to wear a mask. But I know a family where everybody in the family, including the children, infected. And then they all had to go through the whole thing. But that won't happen to you, right? Not possible. Okay. Now, my understanding is there's at least two groups of people here. There's a Bhakti Vriksha group and a reading group. Is that right?
Pretty much full reading group.
The reading group.
And the kids class, they are currently doing Bhagavatam Canto 1, 10th chapter.
No kidding. Bhagavatam Canto 1. Once a week? Fantastic. I wish when I was your age I was reading Bhagavatam Canto 1. You're very fortunate. You got a head start over many of us. You're very fortunate. Well, I'll give a little background. The topic, as you see from the image here on the screen, this is Lord Brahma offering prayers to Krishna in Vrindavan. And it's found, his prayers are Canto 10, Chapter 14. And there's many different places to begin. Like, who is Brahma? That's a place to begin. The firstborn living being. He lives for the duration of the entire creation. And that's a long time. How long is that? One day of Brahma is 1,000 yuga cycles. And 1,000 yuga cycles, that's his day, and then his night is of equal duration. So 1 yuga cycle times 1,000 times 2 is his day and night. 1 yuga cycle is 4,320,000 years. That's 1 yuga cycle. Times 1,000 is his day. And his night is of equal duration. And his day goes into months, 30 days in a month, and 12 months in a year, times 100. So he lives for a long time. And all that time, he's the chief living entity. in the universe. And the post of Brahma is awarded to the most qualified person. One of the descriptions, there's different descriptions, but one of them is someone who has for 100 lifetimes flawlessly executed their duties of varnashram. That jiva is eligible for the post of Brahma. Try for 5 minutes or 1 day. Flawless execution of varnashram duties. 100 lifetimes. So the living entity that occupies the post of Brahma is a jiva, but highly qualified in terms of dharma and highly qualified in terms of intelligence. And that intelligence is needed for at least 2 things: for understanding how to build the universe, not just how to build a mosquito, but how to build the universe. Try, let some scientists build a mosquito. That reproduces itself. So he understands how to build how to take all the ingredients, the raw ingredients that are supplied by Vishnu, and put a universe together from that. And another intelligence that's required is to hear the sound vibration of the Vedas that comes from Krishna, from within his heart, and understand it, and be able to manifest it perfectly, flawlessly, and teach others perfectly, flawlessly. There's a description, for example, aside from the Vedas, just Ramayana. There's Valmiki Ramayana, and there's the Ramayana that was taught to Valmiki by Narada. Narada taught to Valmiki in 24 verses, and he expanded it into, what's the number? 18,000? What's the number of verses in Ramayana? Someone know? Something.
24,000.
24,000, okay. From 24 to 24,000. But what Narada received was from Brahma, which was 1 billion verses. And Brahma received it from the Hamsa avatar, 1 billion verses. The eternal Ramayana was heard by Brahma once, and he repeated it to Narada, who then gave a synopsis to Valmiki, who then expanded it. He gave him the empowerment to expand it, to match the 1 billion verses. So Brahma is very qualified. And after building the universe, he's the go-to person in case there's some turmoil. Like when the demigods have some turmoil, they go to Brahma, help. And, for example, when the Earth planet fell out of orbit into the Garbhodak Ocean, the demigods were very concerned. So what did they do? They went to Brahma, help. So Brahma was contemplating what to do. And from his nostril appeared a tiny boar the size of a thumb, and grew and plunged into the Garbhodak Ocean and lifted the earth. So, Brahma is the go-to guy for problems in the universe. There's many examples of that. Very qualified, very strong, very powerful, very intelligent, very dear to Krishna, because it's Krishna who empowered him to build the universe, gave him the knowledge and the Shrishti Shakti, the spiritual potency to construct the universe. And once in every day of Brahma, we already heard the duration of Brahma's day, 4,320,000 times 1,000. Once in Brahma's day, Krishna appears on earth and performs the same pastimes that Krishna performs in the spiritual sky in Goloka. He appears and performs those pastimes, plus some special ones too. There's eternal pastimes, Nitya Lila, and then there's the way Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses it as occasional pastimes, Naimittika Lila, like killing demons, like taking birth. There's no birth pastime in Goloka. He's eternally a young boy, no birth pastime. And for that matter, his childhood pastimes. Because in Krishna Loka, Krishna, according to several of our acharyas, Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, etc., Krishna is eternally 16 in Krishna Loka. No childhood pastimes, no demons. That's another topic. But Brahma, when Krishna appears, Brahma likes to visit. It's part of his creation, or the engineering work that he did, but it's Krishna's creation because ultimately he's the source. So he visits Vrindavan when Krishna appears. And at the particular time when Brahma appeared in Vrindavan, there's other references where he visits in Dwarka. But when Krishna is on earth, he visits. So when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, Brahma came to experience Krishna, who's the source of everything, performing pastimes as if he's a village boy, a small village boy that looks after cows and calves. So when Krishna was 4, he's eternal, but when he was performing pastimes as a 4-year-old, he was given responsibility for 1 whole year, from 3 till 4, to look after all of Nanda Maharaj's calves. I'll go back. When Krishna was born, everybody knows this from Krishna Janmastami. When Krishna was born, he was born in Mathura. He was born in the prison house of Kamsa. Mother Devaki, father Vasudeva, Krishna was born, showed his forearm form. They requested, assume a childlike form. Krishna said, sure. However, Kamsa is very wicked. Take me to the other side of the river Jamuna and place me by the side of Nanda and Jasoda. Because that very night that Krishna was born, Mother Jasoda also gave birth to a girl. And so Vasudeva did what Krishna said. He assumed a childlike form. He took him on the other side of the river Jamuna, placed Krishna by the side of Mother Yashoda, and took the female child back to the prison house. And everything by his influence worked out very nicely. The guards fell asleep. The chains on his arms and legs and the prison house all fell open. And he crossed, even it was storm, it was dead of night, it was midnight, and it was a storm, so not even moonlight, but Krishna was effulgent, so he was able to make his way across the river Jamuna in the middle of the storm, and Krishna grew up in Gokula until he was 3 years and 4 months, and there was a problem with demons coming to Gokula. So Nanda Maharaj had an elder brother. The elder brother's name was Upananda. And Upananda held a, village elder conference. They were discussing, it's too much difficulty here. Demons come, and our children, and particularly Krishna, is at risk. So we should not stay here longer. Plus, the cows are grazing over on this side. On the other side, there's lots of fresh grass. let's go to the other side of the river Jamuna. So they all agreed, and they moved from Gokula to Vrindavan. One of the 12 forests is named Vrindavan. Vrindavan is like everything, but it's specifically one of the 12 forests. And as soon as Krishna got there, oh, this is his eternal home. He was so happy. 3-year-old boy, 3 years, 4 months, running around with Balaram, like completely happy. And his father, Nanda Maharaj, was taking care of the cows. And Krishna showed his interest in being with the cows. So he asked his father, "Can I come with you?" So his father let him tag along. But he found out very quickly, Krishna didn't just tag along, he was really into the cows, and the cows were really into him. So much so that the elders, the other cowherd men, said, "Nanda, look at this. We don't have to herd the cows because the cows just follow wherever Krishna goes." So then Krishna started asking, "I want to herd the cows, not just go along with the elders, I want to go herd the cows." And his mother said, "No, they're too big. You're so small. Look how big their horns are." No. So he went to his father. And, a little nagging, and his father said, "Well, you can take care of the cows, but you have to come back for lunch." So that's how it started. 3 years, 4 months, Krishna's herding calves. This pastime with Brahma visiting took place when Krishna was still 4. And what do little 5-year-old boys do? Even if you're attached to cows or calves, what do? You play. So they played. They played little boy games. There's a long, like half a chapter filled with what their activities were, but just playful activities. Same thing that children today do. Climbing trees and imitating the monkeys and making sounds like the birds and imitating the birds flying and frogs jumping and peacocks with their tails moving and just making sounds. They go to the edge of a well and say out some bad names, and the echo would come back and they would laugh. They're just in a playful mood. And in that playful mood, it's important because it sets the scene. They come across something they've never seen before in Vrindavan. And there's this gigantic, many-mile long, they didn't know what it was. They thought maybe it was Aghasura, a demon, in the shape of a serpent. And they thought maybe it's a play place for us to climb around and enjoy. Krishna just created it for us. Let's go. And as they got closer, they smelled from the breath of Aghasura a very bad, foul smell, bad, fishy smelling odor. They said, "Wait a minute, this isn't just a statue, a play place. This is a serpent." And some of the boys, understanding it's a serpent, he's after us. So they started running. And some other boys called out and said, no, you don't have to worry. Even if it's a serpent, even if it's someone that's wanting to harm us, no worry at all. Because Krishna will protect us. He's always protected us. Think of all the ways in which Krishna has protected us. We're curious. We're in this playful mood. Let's go look inside. So they went inside. And as they went inside, the calves followed right behind them. Because that's what the calves did. They just followed behind the cowherd boys. So inside the mouth of this, it says the upper jaw of the serpent touched the clouds. This guy was really big. Big tongue. So they went inside his mouth. They passed out because the fumes were so bad. And Krishna was in anxiety for the welfare of the cows, the cowherd boys. So he decided, I'll go rescue them. So he went inside the mouth of Aghasura to rescue them. And Aghasura closed his mouth, because that was his plan. He was going to kill Krishna. Sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. So what did Krishna do? He had a plan. He used one of his mystic powers, which is Mahima, said he became bigger and 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 bigger. And the serpent stretched it was a boa constrictor. His body stretched. But Krishna was too big. And he suffocated. And when he suffocated, his life air and soul left his body. And that soul went through the roof of his head into the sky, a bright light. And when Krishna exited out the mouth of Aghasura, along with the cowherd boys and calves, the soul of Aghasura merged into Krishna's body and achieved Sayuja Mukti. Now it turns out Aghasura was the brother, one of two brothers of Putana. Putana had two brothers. One was Baka, and the other was Agha. Agha is not a nice name. Agha means sin. How'd you like to have that as a name? And add to Asura at the end, Aghasura, the sinful demon. But Krishna gave him liberation. And the cowherd boys were really happy. Wow, that was really good. Let's go have lunch. Because remember, they're with the calves, so Nanda's condition was you can go, but you have to come back for lunch. But that particular day, there was a Leela planned. So Krishna requested to have lunch taken with them. So at noon, they sat down in a circle with Krishna in the center of the circle, having lunch. And they were enjoying each other's company like cowherd boys enjoy the company of Krishna. And seeing this whole scene with Brahma, who had come at that particular time, he saw Aghasura achieving Sayuja Mukti. Then he saw Krishna and all the boys sitting around having lunch, like they're just little kids. So he was puzzled. And in his puzzlement, Krishna inspired him from within to do the following. I wonder, what is the limit of Krishna's opulences? Answer, no limit. Literally no limit. So that was his question. And he thought, let me test my powers against Krishna powers to see what he'll do. That was a big mistake. So there's details. He kidnapped the calves, then he kidnapped the cowherd boys, and he went back to see what Krishna was going to do. And what did Krishna do? Krishna manifested himself in identical features with each cowherd boy and each calf. And there was a purpose behind his doing that. The purpose behind his doing that was, for 1 year, Krishna became the son of each of the ladies who had sons. They were his friends. The friends were in the cave for 1 year. But by Yogamaya power, they didn't even feel that time was passing. Their bodies grew. 4-year-old boy becomes a 5-year-old boy. Their bodies grew, but they didn't eat anything. Think of a 4-year-old boy that doesn't eat anything. That doesn't happen. But by Yogamaya, they didn't eat, they didn't drink, they didn't even notice the passage of time. Time stood still. Eternal time was manifest. Yogamaya made it easy for them. So that during that 1 year that passed, Krishna could be the son of each of those mothers. And the mothers didn't even recognize it wasn't their son, it was somebody else. Because Krishna manifested those sons, so he manifested likenesses of those sons. Exactly. In every respect. So their desire, Krishna is the fulfiller of desires, particularly pure devotees. So the pure devotee ladies wanted Krishna as their son. He became their son for a whole year. The cows wanted to directly feed Krishna like they feed their calves. So Krishna became calves. Exactly in their likeness for 1 year. And notice that we haven't said anything about Balaram. Where's he in this picture? That particular day, Balaram stayed home. When Brahma saw and kidnapped the cowherd boys, etc. And so when they came back, all the Krishna expansions as cowherd boys came back, Balaram, again by Yogamaya influence, didn't even recognize what happened. A whole year passed, and then he started seeing this sign and that sign, and Yogamaya was withdrawing. So he could then see, and he asked Krishna, what's going on? Is this what's going on? And Krishna just smiled. So Balaram was very happy to see the power of Krishna bewilder everybody and fulfill the desires of the cows and the mothers. So then what happened? Krishna came back after looking for the calves and cowherd boys that were in the cave. And then when he came back, there they were having lunch. The same cowherd boys. The original, the cowherd boys, not just his expansions. And they didn't know what had happened. They just had the same, in their plates of food didn't get stale. They would just continue with their next mouthful. Time, so in Krishna's internal potency, time and space are very flexible. According to his desire, everything is very flexible to match his desire. He wanted to have a pastime with Brahma, which includes the prayers of Brahma to Krishna during that 1 year that Krishna was the calves and cowherd boys. And he wanted to fulfill the desires of the mothers and the desires of the cows and others, the bulls that were the fathers of those calves. They were also. Anyway, Krishna was fulfilling everyone's desire. And Brahma's desire was, I would like to know what is the limit of Krishna's opulences and powers, potencies. And he got the answer. Because when he went back and he saw all the cowherd boys sitting having lunch after he just put them in the cave, he was like, what's that? So he went back to the cave, and they were in the cave. He went back to the lunch place, they're having lunch. He didn't understand until Krishna then manifested each one of the cowherd boys and calves manifested Narayan forms, means those cowherd boys and calves were him, or Narayan. And the source of Narayan, the source of everything, the source of everything is this little cowherd boy, Krishna, looking at Brahma with unblinking eyes, in his left hand holding a lump of yogurt and fruit, smiling knowingly. Because Krishna is, although he looks like a little boy, he's not just a little boy, he's the source of everything. And everything means everything. There's no limit to everything. Spiritual and material, both. He's the source of both. So Brahma fainted Not only those four-armed forms, but surrounding all the four-armed forms were the personified Vedas, for each form offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. And each of those forms of Narayan surrounded by all of the potencies. And that's a lot of potencies, unlimited. And they were all personified, worshiping and singing his praises. It was a big concert. Very loud. They didn't need an amplification. It was really loud. And he fainted. And then what happened? Just like that, poof, they all disappeared. And Brahma is intelligent. He's not a slow person. He understood what had just happened. He had a question. Krishna answered his question. And he showed that he is the source of everything, like all at once. It's not the same, but there's some similarity to Arjuna asking Krishna to show his universal form. Now, the universal form was different than what Brahma saw, because what Brahma saw is the spiritual dimension of forms of Narayan, unlimited in number, with unlimited potencies each one, all at the same time. Now, seeing the universal form, what would it be like to see the universal form? It's mind-boggling, because there's a description, but it's everything at once in all directions. It's better than a 3D movie. It's like everything all at once in all directions. You know, Arjuna was a hero, but he was intimidated. Please remove this thing. I asked to see it, thank you. Please remove it. Let me see that original form. Then Krishna showed his four-arm form, then he showed his original form. And the chapter 11 ends, it's very difficult to see this original form. So in Brahma's prayers, he's going to appreciate, we've already discussed it. The first 8 verses, we're starting now in text 9. Oh, this is a warm-up for today's class. He appreciated how fortunate the residents of Vrindavan are, because they're always seeing this original form. Whereas Brahma, his knowledge largely had to do with the energies of creation and how to put all the puzzle pieces together and make a creation. And then how to fill up the creation with good praja. That was what he was invested with Shrishti Shakti, the potency of creation. And he did it. No, very, very, very intelligently. It's not ordinary intelligence to know how to build the universe. Now he's seeing the original form and understanding by Krishna's mercy. This original form is the source of everything, so he offers beautiful prayers. And he then several verses where he's saying this cannot be understood by Gyan. It falls short of understanding Krishna and his Bhagavan feature, the original two-armed, holding a lump of yogurt and fruit in his hand, Krishna, with peacock feather. One cannot understand by Gyan. It's not possible. But by bhakti one can understand. So there's several verses we've already discussed where it's bhakti is the means to understand you, and the other means are not possible. One can get to the impersonal at best by certain procedures which he describes, but such persons, even those persons, cannot understand you. Now the next set of verses, which we're going to begin with now, is starting with text 9, and he's going to offer his explicit apology to Krishna for disrupting his pastimes. What to speak of, kidnapping children, that's a crime, isn't it? Not knowing modern times, you don't kidnap children. What to speak of interrupt Krishna's pastimes? It's not. It's a crime and it's a big offense, and he knows he made a big mistake, and he's expecting that the last verse that we discussed, text 8, he's expecting he's going to get a big reaction, and he's ready to accept whatever it is that Krishna wants to give for his big mistake. He's ready to accept it, but he doesn't want to budge an inch from the lotus feet of Krishna in the mood of service. So now he's going to apologize. My Lord, just see my uncivilized impudence. There's Aryan and there's Anaryan. Just see my Anaryan behavior. To test your power, I tried to extend my illusory potency to cover you, the unlimited, and primeval supersoul, who bewilder even the masters of illusion. Mayi, Mayini. What am I compared to you? I am just like a small spark. Archie, small spark, in the presence of a great fire. Very tiny. So it's an expression of humility, and calling himself this name, an impudent, uncivilized impudence. He was testing, challenging Krishna. Not nice. Big mistake. Here's an image meant to show there's a striking of a match, and there's the fire that comes from the match, and then there's little sparks that go flying this way, that way. And he's like the little spark that goes flying that way. From the, not just a match, but the source of all existence. Whatever potency he has for building a universe, it's just a spark of the unlimited potency of Krishna. Another nice painting that's pretty small swan to be carrying Brahma, but that's his swan carrier, according to the artist's depiction. And there's Brahma offering his prayers. Therefore, infallible Lord, kindly excuse my offenses. Kshama, kindly excuse my offenses. I have taken birth in the mode of passion, and am therefore simply foolish, presuming myself a controller independent of your lordship. My eyes are blinded by the darkness of ignorance, which causes me to think of myself as the unborn creator of the universe. So we may not think of that about ourselves. We may think, I'm a really good student in school. Or someone may think, I'm a really good IT guy. Or someone may think, whatever they may think, I'm really good at basketball. Or whatever someone's thinking. Through false ego, thinking, presuming myself something, independent of the source of everything. My eyes are blinded by the darkness of ignorance, which causes me to think of myself as the unborn creator of the universe. But please consider that I am your servant. Aha. Natavan. Van means one who possesses, and Nata means master. So Natavan is one who has a master, or one who is a servant. Worthy of your compassion. Anukampya. 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 Mayi. So, worthy of his anukampya, anukampam. Susamikshimano. Anukampya is a nice word. Compassion is a nice word. What am I, a small creature? This is the next verse. A small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. I am enclosed in a pot-like universe composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and fire. Ether, air, water, and earth. Fire disappeared somewhere. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body, just as particles of dust pass through the openings of a screen window. Yesterday evening, we spent some time narrating the process of creation. So I'll just touch on that again, because that's where the metaphor is coming from. Well, here's the image of the metaphor. There's a screen window, there's light coming through the screen window. And if you see the light coming through the screen window, you can see little dust particles bouncing around in the air, right? You seen that? Yeah. So just like that, I'm one of those little dust particles passing through the screen of the window. But those dust particles are like the universes. So he's speaking to Krishna. There's a devotee in China that reads Prabhupada's books very carefully, and they like to send me all these really technical questions. The expansions of Krishna. So who's Mahavishnu? Mahavishnu, in the language of Brahma Samhita, he's a kala, which means he's a portion of a plenary portion, which is, what does that mean? Krishna expands as Balaram, first expansion, right? And Balaram is not different than Krishna. He has the fullness of Krishna. The primary distinction means their complexion or their bodily color. Krishna is Shama and Balaram is white like milk. But that's a direct expansion. And then from Balaram comes Sankarshan. And Sankarshan then expands into the other members of the Chatur Vyuha. Chatur means four. Four, Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. That's called the first quadruple expansion. Then that Sankarshan expands as Narayan in Vaikuntha. Narayan in Vaikuntha expands as the second Sankarshan of the second quadruple. And that second Sankarshan expands as Mahavishnu. Therefore, he's a portion of a plenary portion. Plenary means complete. Balaram is a plenary portion, plenary expansion. There's Sanskrit terms for all of this. And Mahavishnu is so big. How big is Mahavishnu? He's so big that from his body, as he exhales, there's pores, like we have for perspiration comes out. And Mahavishnu, what comes out when he breathes, is universes. The universes come out as little seeds, and they start to grow, because seeds grow. So little, grow. And those seeds of universes interact with the Mahatattva. I mean, it's a longer description, which I spoke last night, but when the seeds, they're just seeds. The seeds then contact the ingredients for the universe, which is Mahatattva, Prakriti. But the seed of the universe is not Prakriti. The seed of the universe is all spiritual. Just like within this body, there's a soul, it's all spiritual. And then the covering of the soul is the body. But we're not the body, we're the seed or the spark of life. So the spark of life of the universes comes from Mahavishnu. His body's humongous. Universes are coming from how many universes? Too many to count. There's some finite number, but too many to count. So it's called the Sankhyataha, unlimited. Too many to count. And then, so Brahma is saying, you are like the source of so many universes. And I'm Brahma within one of those universes. And all those universes are like little particles of dust floating, passing through a screen. So how tiny am I compared to you? How insignificant am I? So first was a spark to a big fire, then particles from you come like particles of dust flowing through a screen. From you come so many universes of which I'm in one. And you're this little boy. But you're not just a little boy. That's what he's teaching in this section. Next. O Lord Adhoksaja, does a mother take offense when the child within her womb kicks with his legs? And is there anything in existence, whether designated by various philosophers as real or as unreal, that is actually outside your abdomen? Nice painting. There's Brahma standing with, looks like a rooster, not a swan, but anyway. There's he's coming in for a landing in the clouds in the sky. There he's standing before Krishna. Now he's in the other part, he's falling before him, paying obeisances. So he's asking for pardon, like a child within the womb of a mother would ask for pardon to the mother for kicking while in the abdomen of the mother. I'm like that. I'm like this little unborn infant. So is there something that's not within you? There's everything. Everything is within you, and I'm part of that everything, and I've just kicked. So please be forgiving. Very nice, huh? Very nice. He is addressing Krishna as Adhoksaja. What does Adhoksaja mean? Any of our young people here want to say what the meaning of Adhoksaja is? What is Aksaja? Aksha. That maybe it's a common boy's name, Akshay. What does that mean? Looking around, don't know. It means to see. To perceive. Not only with your eyes, but perceiving something. Akshaja. Aksha. Or Akshay. So Aksha is beyond the senses to perceive. So Krishna is beyond, he's seeing Krishna, but he's calling him Adhoksaja. I don't really see you. I see something with my eyes, but I don't really see who you are. But this much I understand. There's nothing that's outside of you. Say it positively. Everything is within you. But how can everything be within? He's this little boy, the size of a 4-year-old. And everything is within him. Well, guess what? Everything is within him. Just like Mother Yasoda saw when she looked inside Krishna's mouth. What did she see? She saw everything was within him. And there's like this fantastic description. It was far better than what Arjuna saw, the universal form. He saw all the stars and all the planets and all the rivers and mountains and all the demigods, and he even saw himself with Mother Yasoda looking in his mouth inside Mother Yasoda's mouth. Inside his mouth, that's what Mother Yasoda saw. She saw herself looking in Krishna's mouth, inside Krishna's mouth. There isn't anything that's not within Krishna. Everything that exists is within Krishna. Although his size is medium, meaning human-like, we shouldn't think of him as human with dimensions or limits. But everything is within him. And imagine a creator of a universe having that realization. He's looking at whatever it is that he's done, the universe that he's created or engineered. here's the source of that and all the other universes that are coming from him like particles of dust through the screen of a window. So, please forgive. Nice metaphor of a child within the womb of a mother. The mother isn't disturbed when the child within the womb starts wiggling and moves around, kicks. So that's verse 12. We just covered 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I think it's going to be tomorrow evening we'll cover the next section. How's that? I'm tempted to, the audience, you're a good audience, like everyone looks attentive. So I'm gonna do a little treat. How's that? The final verses is narrated with some music. You want to hear? We have sound ready? Okay, I'm going to treat you with something. Just have to find where I stored it. There was a group that we visited on Friday evening, and I showed them this. I think you'll like it. It's short and very sweet. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yes. Boy, he's got toys. So this starts in verse 15.
Lord Brahma attempts to express the ramifications of the opulence that he has seen Krishna display. He prays to Krishna, "O Lord, I previously was unable to either understand or see you due to the coverings of your own Maya, your illusory energy. But you are the controller of that Maya, and that was proved by Mother Yashoda's seeing the universe within your abdomen. Now, at the present, that universe is externally manifest as your inconceivable energy, and it is therefore all that I perceive. Today, by your manifesting, all the cows, cowherd boys, and Vishnu forms who are being worshipped by all living entities, you've demonstrated that the entire creation is your inconceivable potency. And now I'm seeing before me the original form of the unlimited, supreme, absolute truth. To the ignorant, you seem to be of this material world, although it is you who appears as Brahma, the creator, who appears as Vishnu, the maintainer, and as Shiva, the destroyer. To demonstrate that you, the absolute truth, is an unlimited transcendental person, you descend within the universe as avatars, and you take birth among the demigods, sages, humans, animals, and the aquatics. As an avatar, you then, by your spiritual potency, perform your innumerable, inconceivable, mysterious pastimes. Due to you, this entire universe, which, like a dream, is by nature unreal, nevertheless appears real. And thus, it covers one's consciousness and assails one with repeated miseries. This universe appears real because it is manifested by the potency of illusion emanating from you, whose unlimited transcendental forms are full of eternal happiness and knowledge. You are the one Supreme Soul, the primeval Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth, self-manifesting, endless and beginningless. You are eternal and infallible, perfect and complete, without any rival, and free from all material designations. Your happiness cannot be obstructed, nor have you any connection with material contamination. Indeed, you are the indestructible nectar of immortality. By the grace of his spiritual master, a jnani can mix bhakti with his jnana. He will then be able to see you as the soul of all souls. He will be able to see you as the super soul of his own self. This vision will allow him to cross the ocean of material existence. For one who has thus realized you, the illusory energy at once subsides, for he is free of the false vision of perceiving anything as separate from you. Seeing you with this vision of knowledge and remaining in knowledge of you, devoid of the false perceptions that are the cause of the existence of the material world, his ignorance and illusion cease. Therefore, through knowledge of you and knowledge of himself as your eternal servant, neither liberation nor bondage have meaning for him, just as day and night have no meaning for one present on the sun planet. How foolish are the Jnanis! How foolish are the Mayavadis! They're fools because they consider your form as a manifestation of illusion. How foolish are the conditioned souls! Regardless of how intelligent they think themselves as being, they all perceive themselves as their bodies, and they thus fail to see their self as part of you. They're all fools because they reject you, and in so doing, they search for the Supreme Soul outside of your Supreme Personality. How foolish are all of these so-called learned men. O unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees who have added bhakti to their jnana, seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years.
Brahma's prayers. Let's see if there's some discussion. Caught you all by surprise. Yes?
So in follow-up to my question yesterday, I'm feeling like shame or made a mistake or that kind of, giving in kind, maybe like, what should I do and how to overcome it? Like there is shame, I made a mistake, or I keep doing the mistake and run away from it, or thinking I'm this product of this material nature. Sorry, I'm not able to put it.
Well, if the mistake you're speaking of is like that image of the fellow going that way and Krishna's extending his hands behind and he just keeps going, that's all of us. And there's degrees. It's similar to the discussion yesterday evening. Proportionate to one's rebellion, it gets darker, and proportionate to one's submission, it gets lighter. Yet, having said that, everyone, the very fact that we take birth in the material world, Prabhupada's expression is, it's like a flag. And the flag says, I made a mistake. I rebelled from Krishna, because otherwise you wouldn't get a body, or whatever the grade of the body is, and the grade of the intelligence and mind is. Having recognized the mistake, the difficulty is, even if one says, I want to correct the mistake, there's conditioning influences that move us, impel us in the direction of continuing the same mistake. Even with good intention, we continue the same mistake. It may fluctuate, may have some variety to it, but the essence of the mistake is turning our back on Krishna. So when we recognize that the mistake that we made, shame isn't the solution. Shame just keeps one in darkness. It's definitely a lower mode of nature. So how do you change that channel to not that lower mode of nature? Shame is a very debilitating emotion. Gratitude to Krishna to have you wake up and say, gosh, I really made a mistake. And then, like what Brahma is doing, you address the person who you made the mistake with, Krishna. Please, accept my apology for my mistake, and please help me become reinstated. Or in simple language, when just saying to Krishna, please accept me. Just to keep it really simple. And the mood, one of the moods of chanting, Krishna, please accept me. I'm unworthy, I'm this and that and the other thing and the other thing. I'm acknowledging that's humility, factual humility, self-assessment. I'm unworthy because, nonetheless, please accept me. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So that's what we do. Instead of that other channel, the shame channel, just change the channel. Anything else? Oh. You can take your mask down while you speak. Then I can hear you better.
Why is everything Krishna's plan?
Why are we avoiding Krishna's plan?
Why is everything Krishna's plan?
Why is everything Krishna's plan? That's your question. Well, Krishna's plan for you and me is to be with him. So it's not everything is Krishna's plan, because Krishna wants us to be with him, and here we are in some other place. So it's not Krishna's plan that we're separate from him. He sanctions it, but it's not his plan. How is it that Krishna sanctions everything? Because everything is his. He's the source of everything. Everything comes from him. So we can't be in illusion unless Krishna sanctions it. We can't be in Krishna consciousness unless Krishna sanctions it. So why is it necessary for Krishna to sanction everything? Because everything is his. He's the source of emanation of everything. Like, why is there darkness? Because when there's absence of light, it's darkness. So Krishna is the source of light. And when light goes out, then it's darkness. So Krishna is the source of darkness as well as the source of light. Because everything is from him. It's not that everything is Krishna's plan, but everything is with Krishna's sanction. How's that? You clear? Okay. I thought you were going to ask another trick question. Sometimes children do that.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. It was actually even bewildering for me to hear that Krishna was only 4 years old when this pastime took place. I had not known Krishna's age at this pastime. So just a comment.
Okay.
And from your last night's lecture, you mentioned, or one of the question was, you explained how Super Soul is one.
Yes.
So in one of the lectures, I had also heard that Guru is also one.
Okay, I'm listening.
So I did not understand what the speaker was trying to mean by that.
There is a Vyasa Puja offering that Srila Prabhupada wrote on this topic. So if you send me a little note, I'll send you that Vyasa Puja offering. But in really simple terms, each guru is a representative of Guru Tattva, which is one. that take care of it? Guru Tattva is behind every guru. Without Guru Tattva being behind the guru, there's no guru. With Guru Tattva, there's one Guru Tattva. So different manifestations through different personalities, but the Tattva is one. And Balaram is the source of that. He's the Adi Guru. Okay. It's not the same as Supersoul as one. It's different than that. The statement, there's one Supersoul, is different than Guru is one. The expansion of that understanding is different. Okay.
Can you give an example of Guru Tattva?
Give an example of Guru Tattva. How it works? That's your question? Well, the term Tattva can be, synonyms can be truth, the truth about Guru, or the reality about Guru, or the entity of Guru, Guru Tattva, or Vishnu Tattva, or Jiva Tattva. Living entities are Jiva Tattva, they're in the category of Jiva. Vishnu Tattva is, there's many, many, many incarnations, they're Vishnu Tattvas, in the categories of Vishnu, unless they're Jivas that are empowered by, so it's that Tattva means a truth, reality, or an entity. So Guru Tattva is the truth about the realities having to do with Guru. Balaram is the original Guru. He's a person. The basis and foundation and, that which everything rests upon is a person. Everything. And Balaram is, not represents, but Balaram is the original Guru. And Guru Tattva is so then resting upon Balaram. Or Nityananda Ram, same. So that Tattva is manifest variously through different jivas who have different personalities, different, individual qualities, characteristics, different moods, there's differences, there's variety within that Guru Tattva, because Guru Tattva is working through or operating through or manifesting through a particular living entity. So it's a principle, and it's not exactly like Shakti, because Shakti has Shaktiman. Not exactly like Shakti, it's not Guru Shakti. There is a Guru Shakti, but it's Guru Tattva. Guru Shakti is a subset, a part of Guru Tattva. There's to be Guru, there must be empowerment. That's Guru Shakti. And the Guru Shakti is coming from the Adi Guru. And so that the truths in relation to Guruism or Guru Tattva, that's what Guru Tattva is. All the set of truths in relation to, but behind truth is a person. Okay. Next.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. My question was where when Krishna appeared as
Cowherd boys and stayed with the mothers for 1 year, was there any reference that they're getting that benediction of
having Krishna as 1 year,
Oh, yeah.
as child? Like any references?
I'm not sure what your question is, but what happened in the hearts of the mothers in the course of that 1 year? Is that what you're asking?
No, my question was like Devaki and they had to go through so much of austerity to get Krishna as their son.
Oh.
What was their austerity or any previous life references that they got Krishna as 1 year as their son?
It's not by austerities. There's both in relation to Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj as the mother of Krishna, and in relation to the cowherd boys, there's a Sukadev Goswami in narrating about them. Maharaj Parikshit, in relation to Yasoda and Nanda, he asked the question, which is what you're asking. What did they have to do to become Nanda and Yasoda? And there's two answers. The answer at the end of that chapter is they were given a benediction by Brahma. Drona and Dara were given a benediction by Lord Brahma to become Yasoda and Nanda. And the explanation is a little esoteric, but Yasoda and Nanda, they're eternally Yasoda and Nanda in the spiritual world. And they expand themselves. They expand themselves in the heavenly realm as Vasu, Drona, an expansion of the original Nanda, the eternal Nanda Maharaj. His expansion in the demigod realm is Drona, and Yasoda expands herself as Dara, or Dara. And there they are in, the heavenly realm, with the desire to have Krishna as to have a son. So they undergo austerities. This is Drona and Dara, not the eternal Nanda and Yasoda. And because that was the question, what austerities? So they went under long austerities. Brahma came, yes, what would you like? We'd like to have Krishna as our son. So very good. Very soon Krishna will appear. You can go to the earthly realm where Krishna is going to appear and become his father and mother. And what happens is they, Drona and Dara, enter into the body of the eternal Nanda and Yasoda. And after the pastimes of Krishna are completed, they return to their heavenly realm. Because they had a desire, and they underwent austerity. At the very beginning of the next chapter in the Bhagavatam, they're actually eternally Nanda and Yasoda. They don't become by austerities. It's their eternal position. They're Shakti Tattva. They're not living entities in a post that's awarded to them because of austerities. The puzzle is a little complicated, but that's what the Bhagavatam and our acharyas describe. They don't become. They are eternally. And there's a pastime where they become, but it's just a pastime because eternally they're Nanda and Yasoda. And same for Vasudeva and Devaki. They're eternally Vasudeva and Devaki. Now, in Krishna's explanation to Vasudeva and Devaki, in your previous lives, da-da-da-da. But they're eternally Vasudeva and Devaki. It doesn't easily fit into our software. We haven't installed that program on our hard drive yet. Transcendence software.
So does that same applies to the mothers who had Krishna for 1 year?
There's two categories, Nitya and those who join Krishna's pastimes. And those who join Krishna's pastimes get trained up by the Nitya. Same with the gopis. There's eternal, and there's those that join, and they're trained up by the eternal ones. Okay?
Maharaj, one additional question on behalf of the kids. They just learned Kunti Devi prayers, and I tell them that the prayers are very important. You should write your own prayer also. But could you expand more on the topic of why it is important to hear about the prayers like Brahma prayers, Kunti Devi prayers? What is the importance? Maybe if you could expand a little bit for them. They are just hearing, probably just taking, but it is so much important lessons in these prayers.
Here's a very simple, and there's layers, but we'll start with the simple. Theologies of the world acknowledge that the goal of their theology is to love God. Question: how can you love someone without knowing that someone? Tell me about that someone. And then, it'll help me develop a little attraction for that someone. Especially if I don't have qualification yet to associate with them and have direct experience of that someone. Let me hear about that someone. And let me hear about someone who intimately knows that someone. And when you hear from someone who intimately knows that someone, then you're getting the real story of that someone. Supposing you hear from someone that doesn't really know that someone, they don't have an intimate relationship. They'll have misunderstanding or, a very shallow understanding of that someone. So, but you hear from someone who has intimate, relationship with that someone, and they're saying things about that someone and their relationship with that someone, and even they say things that are like, "This is beyond my comprehension." When you do this or that or the other thing, that's also valuable. So the purpose. This is the initial 101 understanding. It gives us an appreciation of God, so we can develop love, because they're lovable. They're all attractive. What's all attractive about the all attractive? And here's details of the attractiveness. The Almighty. It's like someone who's beautiful. I just was this is the 50th year anniversary of the installation of Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles and of Radha Govinda in New York. So they just held a little gathering about how Radha Govinda came to New York, the deities. And the person who was narrating was Srimati Dasi, who was about 20 years old when she was given the assignment of going to purchase Radha Govinda in Jaipur. And her friend, who had been in India for about 6 months, Kaushalya, went with her because she knew how to get around in India, because she'd been there for 6 months, and she was also 20. Purchasing deities, tall marble deities that Prabhupada installed. So Srimati was narrating about their interactions with the head priest of Govindaji, because Srimati didn't know the law that you have to keep your passport. And at that time, there was a war declared between India and Pakistan. And so the Indian government was really alarmed about Americans moving around India, because Americans were then at that time siding with Pakistan. So the police wanted to see their ID, and her ID was in Delhi. So they gave her a really hard time. And Kaushalya, she said, was a really good talker and kind of feisty. So the police kind of backed off and said, okay, you can stay, but before you leave, we want to see your passport. You have to have you arrange for your passport to come here. So she went ahead and so when all of this happened, the chief priest who had experienced their Krishna bhakti was called in by the police to verify that they're actually devotees. So the priest took compassion upon these two 20-year-old girls that were there in service to buy deities for their temples in America. And so he had them stay in his home. And as they were staying in their home, in his home, when then relatives and the whole circle of Goswamis that were taking care of the deities, they met the Queen of Jaipur, Gayatri Devi. And she showed during this presentation a picture of Gayatri Devi. And she said in this talk that I just heard the other day, a YouTube presentation, she was voted by Vogue magazine of one of the 20 most beautiful women in India at that time. She was in her early 50s. And she showed a picture and she just said, isn't she beautiful? Now, how beautiful is Radharani? So if you want to become attracted to the all beautiful, how beautiful is all beautiful? How intelligent is all intelligent? How if people are attracted to opulence? How opulent is Krishna? Etc. So by hearing, we come to understand the unlimitedness of the unlimited, the all-attractiveness of the all-attractive, in detail, not just notional. Because it's coming out through their mouth, it's with their bhakti. So we get that too. We become attached to those persons who are speaking about Krishna, and we become attached to the object of their attachment. And sometimes the prayers are filled with sambandha gyan, it's knowledge of the relationship of things in relation to Krishna, and sometimes it's the beauty of Krishna. Sometimes it's the loving nature of Krishna, the compassion of Krishna, etc. And to compare, Gayatri Devi, it's true. The photograph, she was beautiful, and compared to Radharani, what's that? The beauty of anyone of this world, nothing. So, how do you picture that? You hear from those who know. And the all-attractiveness awakens, stimulates love. It's called Udipan, stimulations of ecstatic love, by hearing from these qualified people, Vaishnavas, devotees.
Thank you, Maharaj. That gives me what should be my mood when I'm teaching to these kids, the driven force, how I should look at the whole shlokas when I'm reading to them. Thank you.
Now the audience is shifting. It's going from the reading group to the children. Is that what's going on? I think you should ask the kids. What holds their interest. So ask them, don't ask me. And they'll tell you. And you can observe, you try a spectrum of things, and some will be attracted to this and others won't, and some will be attracted to that and others won't. So you'll be tuned into your audience. Just before coming here, I was in Detroit, and I met a young couple with 1.5 children. And tell me how it's going. So one of the things they had to say is that the temple has some brahmacharis, but the brahmacharis just customize the content and the approach to how they conduct classes, study classes. And if they say this, they go this. If they say that, they go that. So how to ask the kids? And then you experiment. And the experiment may change because times may change and interests may change and things like that. You just be very flexible and accommodate the audience. Anything else? Yes?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. So we are reading the third canto, the Bhagavatam, where Lord Brahma prayers is there, and after doing austerities for so many celestial years, he saw the form of the Lord.
Yes.
And now in 10th canto, these verses, so is this the same Brahma?
Yes.
Okay. Because again we are reading in 3rd canto, and again it's continuing in 10th canto.
Unless you see a contradiction, you can assume it's the same Brahma. I'm preparing something for a group with the Chinese devotees about King Nriga. And there's a detail that Krishna says, "Who are you?" Because the lizard, he touches the lizard and he becomes a demigod. Who are you and how'd you get in this lizard body? He tells a story. And he says, I am the son of Ikshvaku. The commentary says, in 9th canto, it says, he's the brother of Ikshvaku. Same Bhagavatam. And then the commentators, Vishnu says, it can be understood that it's different days of Brahma. So if there's a conflict, then it's like a different Brahma, not just a different day of Brahma, but a different Brahma in a different universe or different iteration of the universe. Then that's allowed. But generally speaking, with Brahma in particular, it's the same Brahma unless there's a conflict. There may be some explanation behind it, other than it's a different day or a different universe or something. And that's why we need our acharyas. But otherwise, same. And his experience is different from time to time. And that's also okay. We have different experiences. Brahma has different experiences.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I have a question. Why Vishnu, only Vishnu, Rama Avatar and Krishna Avatar, why only Vishnu have so many avatars?
Why not?
Why?
He's unlimited. Why not? Because they're living entities that have different desire and different liking. So he accommodates their different desires and their different liking.
Yeah. Brahma, we don't see so many avatars for Brahma, but
There's just one Brahma.
Yeah, one Brahma. And my question is, why so many avatars for Vishnu?
And the answer is, look up in the Bhagavatam. You have a Bhagavatam in your home?
Yes, Maharaj.
3.9.11.
Okay.
Write it down.
Okay.
Look it up. Vishnu, the Supreme Lord appears according to the liking of his devotee in a form And in the, everything according to the devotion of the devotee. That's why. How much variety is there in living entities and their regard for their objects of affection? That's how many, manifestations of the Supreme Lord. He's very kind, very loving, and he appears differently. Just like, children within a family. Supposing there's a large family of many children, they'll see mom and dad differently according to their personality. Mom and dad may not like it, but that's what happens. They're seen, and there's relationships that are different. According to the relationship, that's how they proceed.
Time to time, yugas and yugas, he comes for devotees.
Even in different yugas, it's different. Sometimes. And sometimes. There's spools of likeness, and there's variegatedness also. And the other side is for his pleasure. For his pleasure, there's variety. And for his devotee, there's variety. He's not static, he's dynamic. Or not static, he's ecstatic.
Wonderful lunch.
Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, we have something online. And I think we're going to wrap up.
This is from Madhukar Karnati Prabhu from Nepal. You mentioned everything comes from Krishna.
Everything comes from Krishna.
How to understand other religions like Muslim and Christian? Who do they think the source of everything?
Well, the concepts vary, but the principle is pretty consistent. There's one source of everything. Monotheistic religions have the same basic principle. There's one source of everything. Now, how they understand that, is going to vary, but it's the principle. It's the same. Next. Okay. Thank you all very much. Very patient audience. Thank you. Prabhupada ki jai. I have some Mahaprasadam, young devotees, so don't go away.
Very attentive.